This was done in order to implement another military adventure against Tehran.
The United States has also disregarded its own credibility and twice joined Israel in brazenly taking action against Iran.
The United States strongly rejects the assertions made by the representatives of Russia and China.
Lasting and sustainable solution that ensures Iran never acquires a nuclear weapon.
In favor of the adoption of the provisional agenda non-proliferation, please raise their hand.
What you're about to see here is a tense moment inside the United Nations Security Council where major world powers clash over Iran and nuclear sanctions. The United States, Russia, China, and European allies are all pushing competing narratives about security, international law, and military escalation. What begins as a procedural vote quickly turns into a heated diplomatic confrontation. Watch closely, because the statements that follow reveal just how divided the international community is over Iran.
The 10,120th official meeting of the United Nations Security Council is hereby called to order at this time.
We are deeply disappointed by the attempt of our American colleagues. We demand to put the question of holding this meeting to a procedural vote. We call on our conscientious and sensible colleagues to also oppose this and not allow the Council's platform to be used to legitimize legal and procedural lawlessness. Thank you. We fully reject the points made by the Russian Federation. Today's meeting is fully in line with the decisions and procedure of this Council. The United Kingdom, alongside France and Germany, triggered the snapback mechanism procedure in full accordance with Security Council Resolution 2231.
I would like to react to the remarks just made by the permanent representative of the Russian Federation and begin by associating myself word for word with the remarks of the representative of the United Kingdom. I would add the following elements. The resolutions of this Council on the Iranian nuclear program were reinstated last September at the end of the sanctions reinstatement procedure known as snapback. China supports the procedural motion proposed by Russia and calls on all members to oppose the holding of this meeting.
The United States strongly rejects the assertions made by the representatives of Russia and China and fully supports the statements that have been made by the representatives of the United Kingdom and France. In view of the request and the comments made by members of the Security Council, I intend to put the provisional agenda to the vote. Accordingly, I shall put it to the vote now. Will those in favor of the adoption of the provisional agenda non-proliferation please raise their hand? Those against? Abstentions? The result of the voting is as follows. 11 votes in favor, 2 votes against, 2 abstentions. The provisional agenda has been adopted.
And this is where the diplomatic battle really begins. Despite strong objections from Russia and China, the Security Council moves forward with the agenda, effectively allowing the discussion on Iran sanctions and nuclear concerns to proceed. For Washington and its European allies, this vote reinforces the legitimacy of the snapback sanctions mechanism, but for Moscow and Beijing, the meeting itself represents what they call procedural overreach. The question is this about nuclear security or a deeper geopolitical rivalry playing out on the world stage?
In my function as President of the Council, all member states of the United Nations should be implementing an arms embargo against Iran, banning the transfer and trade of missile technology, and freezing relevant financial assets. In line with the robust United Nations sanctions that had been in place before 2015 and have now been snapped back into place. The United Nations provisions to be reimposed are not arbitrary, but instead narrowly scoped to address the threat posed by Iran's nuclear, missile, and conventional arms programs and Iran's ongoing support for terrorism. We strongly urge all Council members to actively press our Russian and Chinese colleagues to allow the Council to appoint a committee chair. This obstructionism, thus far on the matter of a 1737 committee chair, is predicated on a bad faith and baseless reinterpretation of events. The truth of the matter is that Russia and China do not want a functional committee, not out of some type of legal objection, but because they want to protect their partner Iran. I function as president of the council. The reality is Russia and China do not want this committee because it will continue to protect their partner Iran. In light of that, the United States will continue to work diligently to ensure that Iran can no longer hold the world hostage with its missile program, its drone capabilities, and certainly not with a nuclear program.
20 years since the Council adopted Resolution 1737, we call on those member states that have sought to evade or undermine the United Nations sanctions reinstated under the snapback mechanism to cease doing so immediately. This approach only emboldens Iran. No member state should, directly or indirectly, undertake or facilitate any action that breaches or circumvents sanctions, and all should press Iran to halt its destabilizing behavior. All member states have a clear responsibility to fulfill their United Nations obligations in full, particularly on an issue as grave and consequential as this. President, the United Kingdom remains unwavering in its commitment to finding a lasting and sustainable solution that ensures Iran never acquires a nuclear weapon. I thank you.
I would like to sincerely thank the distinguished representative of the United Kingdom for the statement.
They have been fueling hysteria around Iran's alleged plans to acquire nuclear weapons, which have never been confirmed by the International Atomic Energy Agency reports, unlike what we heard today from the United States representative. This was done in order to implement another military adventure against Tehran and even more escalation of the situation in the Middle East and beyond.
I thank the representative.
The United States has also disregarded its own credibility and twice joined Israel in brazenly taking action against Iran during the negotiation process with Iran, causing diplomatic efforts to go down the drain. As the initiator of the nuclear crisis, the actions of the United States violate international law as well as the purposes and principles of the United Nations Charter. China strongly condemns this.
I shall now make a statement in my capacity as the representative of the United States. Colleagues, as we woke this morning, civilians, families, children were trapped, sheltering in bunkers all over the Middle East. They were wondering if the only thing they could count on today were more missiles and more drones from the Iranian regime. They could not be certain whether they would have the support of the international community. They couldn't be certain if they would have the support of the United Nations Security Council, which frankly, in years past, has failed to speak out about Iran's consistent and grotesque violations of international law. Well, to the people, under the barrage and the constant bombardment of the Iranian regime, the UN Security Council stands with you. 135 countries stand with you. We uniformly condemn Iran's indiscriminate attacks on civilians. Today, you've heard and you'll continue to hear lies, as you always have, from the representative from Iran and their friends on the council. This time, claiming that all of their strikes have been against U.S. military bases or various types of military installation. But here's the hard truth. Here's what they don't want you to hear. And this is common sense, colleagues. The Fairmont Hotel in Dubai
That's not a military base or installation. That's why dozens and dozens of tourists have fled as it was set on fire.
Moments like this reveal just how intense and divided international diplomacy can become. The debate here isn't just about Iran's nuclear program, it's about competing claims of legality, security, and global influence among some of the most powerful countries in the world. Each side argues it's defending international law, yet the Council itself becomes the battleground for that disagreement. What do you think? Was this a legitimate push for nuclear accountability, or a geopolitical power struggle playing out at the United Nations?